Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here for a bit of a different video. I was kind of stumped for ideas really of what to do today for a video. So, you know, kind of one of the places that I like to go for inspiration is Pinterest. So I've got this gorgeous pin here. This was it was a pin of an item from Shabby. Now, probably lots of you have seen her work. Her images pop up all over on Google Images and Pinterest. She does the most gorgeous journals. I don't think she has a YouTube channel. Certainly I have never seen it. She only seems to kind of go on Instagram. I don't even know whether she goes on Pinterest or whether other people pin her work. I'm not really too sure. But I thought I will have a go at doing something loosely inspired by this. So I'm not actually trying to emulate this. I'm not trying to, you know, make something looking identical to this. I'm just using it as a basis for my inspiration. So what I've done, I've just pulled in a whole bunch of things that I thought might work. I mean, obviously, because this is Pinterest, you know, I can't actually even see really, you know, I don't know whether this is a tag or, you know, just something to kind of slot into a journal. So I have to just do my take on this. So all I've done so far is I've just grabbed some coffee dyed cardstock. So I'm just going to trim that down. Just deciding which side to use, and I'm sure it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to trim that down in the first instance. Like that. Now obviously this was an A4 sheet, so this at the moment is currently the size of my journal, so I probably want to trim that down slightly further at the top. So I'll just take a little bit off of the height. And then, oops, I've already put my fingers in my stuff that's all beside me. Right, didn't take long, did it, for me to get all mucky and horrible? So I'm just going to pop these things all to one side so that I can just pull things in, you know, randomly as and when. I'm going to keep obviously the picture, you know, in my eye line really, so that I can, you know, just glance at it from time to time to get a feel for, you know, where I want to go with this. So she obviously seems to have done like several different pockets. So I've just grabbed in, as I say, some bits and bobs that I just thought would, you know, go some way to actually replicating what she's done. So I've got this, which is just from my Paris in Bloom kit. It's one of the pockets. I'm going to just fold it over. Now her piece is very yellowy looking and very kind of browny looking. So I thought that's why, you know, I've picked these pieces because I thought they would go quite well. Now her pockets are more over to one side, and as you can see, this is a full-size pocket for, you know, a full-size page. So what I might do is just take it in to make it slightly smaller. So like that, and then like that. Now I may regret this and decide it's not really kind of to size, but it's looking okay so far. So it's probably still a little bit on the big side, but, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. So what I want to do now is just trim this in like that, so that I just get rid of the extra bulk. Oops. Sorry, making a horrendous job of my cutting today. Some days you just have bad days, don't you? I'm going to try and fold that in slightly further, just so it's a slightly smaller pocket on there. Again, just take it in just a little bit each side. See whether my thumb hole's roughly still in the middle, and it seems to be. So just want to cut my flaps down slightly. And then again, just take this in slightly here. Again, just cut that one in slightly, and again just taper that in slightly further. Okay, so that's my new pocket piece. So, you know, pretty easy to downsize your pockets, even when they're, you know, ready formatted and ready sized. Right, now I'm having a bit of an accident here with my carrier bag, which is currently covered in gesso. So I'm not doing very well so far this video. Right, let me just sort that bag out so that I don't put my finger in the gesso every single time that I use the bag. Hopefully that's a bit better. Wipe that gesso off a little bit. Okay, so take my piece, and that's my new pocket. Now, she's got lots of things layered up in the background, so, you know, I want to obviously emulate that to some extent. So she's used sheet music. I might go for book page, I think. Now that's quite a thick page there, so let me just see whether I've got some other book page lying around on my desk. I don't think I have at the moment, so let me just tear out another sheet of book page here from my encyclopedia that's beside me. Oops. Okay. It's a shame because actually I do prefer the colour of this one, but I've actually glued this together already, so it's thicker probably than I would have liked. Let me just double check to see whether I have any other laying around. You know, I thought I'd been really organised and bought everything that I needed, but clearly I haven't. Right, okay. So if I had that up there, look whether I can mix it with a bit of the sheet music as well. Not sure that I like the sheet music that much because you know, it's got quite a black look. I mean, obviously it is black, so I'm not sure that that's quite the look that I was after. Let me just have another rummage, see whether I've got any other book page that might be better in colour. Isn't this typical? I thought I was being really organised and you know, straight away I've fallen at the first hurdle. So that's just not so great. See, this is where having all that desk ephemera is so handy because you never know what's going to be lurking. Although, in this particular instance, I think it's letting me down. Even in amongst all that desk ephemera, I haven't got anything suitable. All I've got is this, you know, kids book text, which although I prefer the colour because the paper's pretty old and yellow, it's obviously very big text, which, you know, isn't so much really what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go for this, I think. And what I might do is I might have this as a pocket. I wonder whether I could do that. Just cut across the top. This is 2 sheets stuck together. You know, it was ready to make some pockets from, and I haven't obviously done that. So, you know, hopefully it's going to just come in useful now. So again, what I could do, now I wonder whether I could just tuck this around here. Oops. Oh gosh, come on. Can't get this straight now, so this is not the best video, is it? You see, when you're not really feeling it, you perhaps shouldn't really bother doing a video, should you? But I feel like I'm not being very productive if I'm not doing that, so you know, that's what I wanted to still come on and do one, really. So we could have that tucked around like that, and then just tuck it in around this side. Like that. Oops. Okay. So pop that like that, and then if we had this one just on top, I'll just see whether I could get away with the sheet music now. It's a tear down slightly. Yes, that's better, I think. So we could have it like that. So what I might do in the first instance is actually find my circle punch, which now I won't be able to find that. Oh my gosh, what a disaster this video is just turning out to be. It's literally every single thing that I've tried to find, I haven't now been able to find. So please excuse me. Right, okay, I've got it. So I'm going to punch a hole roughly in the centre of there. Can't really see, excuse my head. Okay, right, that's roughly in the centre. I'm just going to trim that down now because I've gone a bit low, so it was a bit circly. And then because this is glued together, I'm just going to glue it together. Oh, now my glue's clogged up. Seriously, could anything else go wrong this video? Oh, come on, come on. Right. So do that like that. And then I'm just going to trim this down roughly to a decent size. So, well, I guess I could have it actually going all the way down the page, to be fair. Right, so scrap that idea. What I will do, I think, is stick this sheet music. If I can actually get my glue working. Stick this going down the piece. Now I've got here my gesso that I've got ready to use here. So, oh my gosh, it's every single time. And I know that loads of people are going to give me loads of tips about keeping my glue, and honestly, I have been keeping this one just as per how I should, you know, the lid on, kept it upside down and all the rest of it. But ever since I opened this one, it's been quite clogged. So I do honestly think that just sometimes you get a bad one. So that seems to be what's happened here. Right, stick that one down. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is just pop some glue down here along my edge. Oops. Because I'm going to tuck this piece around the back of the pocket. And I mean, as I say, you know, I can't see obviously how she's made hers, and I don't think hers perhaps goes round like this. You know, looking at it, I don't think it's doing that. But you know, all I wanted was a bit of inspiration, really. So, oh, come on! I may even have to stop the video and go and try and sort my glue out, which is incredibly annoying. Right. Just going to stick that piece down there. Actually, I'll just cut this in slightly. Like that. Might have to do that piece in a minute because this is just not really going very well with the whole glue situation, so let's pop that on first. Okay, right. this down so that it's not so big. I haven't got to use quite so much glue. Can you see that? It's just literally, you know, one squirt, then it's clogged again. One squirt, then it's clogged. Come on. Oh, this is frustrating beyond belief. Right. Hurrah! Finally got a clean sweep along the whole thing. Right. Let's just go along that bottom bit again. Too much to ask for. It's now stopped again. Oh, come on. Right. Let me just leave that with the lid on, tipped upside down again. Hope that it sorts itself out for in a minute. Okay. Right. Let's move that out of the way because we're not going to be using that. Oh my gosh. My desk is super messy, so everything's everywhere. Okay, let's get rid of these bits. So we've got that pocket there, which is a massive long pocket. And then we're going to have this little pocket here, like that. Now, in amongst all of my stuff that I just brought along with me, so I've got a long piece that will just be perfect in that pocket actually. That just worked out brilliant. That wasn't planned, that was purely fluke, so that was really lucky. Right, let's just see what else I've got here. Okay, so I'm going to have this here. And then she's used a little bit of Hessian as another sort of pocket on there. So I would like to do that. Now she has stitched hers, and you know I say this all the time and it's really boring, but my sewing machine's not here, so you know, rather than dilly-dally around, you know, taking forever, I'm just going to have to use glue for mine. So now she has done hers at an angle. So if I were to have it like that, yep. And then obviously she has gessoed around and things so that, you know, it's looking really quite pretty. So let me just tear off a section of this, I think. I want it there, or maybe up here. Maybe up there. So I'm just going to, again, attempt to glue this. Probably won't really be very successful. No, could have guessed that, couldn't we? Okay. Right, so I'm going to leave it with my pin stuck in it this time. So hopefully we'll have no more mucking about. Right, so it's upside down with my pin in it. So I'm going to glue this down in the pocket, just poking out there like that. Actually, I'll just bring it slightly higher. Okay. I'm going to have this pocket sort of here, a bit lower down. We're going to have this one here. So let's see where else we might want a little bit of the flowers. Maybe here. Maybe just poking out there. Okay. Now, I've only used gesso a few times. Mainly I have used it when I've done canvases and things. And I think I've only used it in a journal literally once or twice. So it is a little bit kind of like my nemesis for some reason. Don't ask me why. I have no clue why I feel that way. I don't know. I'm sure that we all have little things that just frighten us, or, you know, that we don't feel comfortable using. And for me, gesso is one of those things. So I'm going to try my best to overcome that, because I love the effects that everybody else gets with it. You know, it looks awesome. So I would very much love to use it. Right, I'm just going to put this here, because what I should have done was obviously inked that book page there. I obviously forgot, so I'm just going to go round it here. Now it's stuck on, but if I just pop a piece of card, you know, to the side, I'm just protecting the other page so that it's, you know, not getting it all over. So I'm just going to trim down now the top bit like that. Oops. Now I made it very lopsided, which doesn't look very good. Okay. Still not made a very good job of there. Right. Now she's kind of cut hers a bit like a tag sort of shape. So I'm going to see whether I can achieve that. Like that. And then I might just use this little corner piece as a bit of a template here for the other side. So I'll go from the back, because that, you know, I'm right-handed, so that might be slightly easier. She says, you know, doesn't really necessarily look like it's going to be slightly easier. Let me try. Just want them, you know, similar. So I'll just take that little corner off, and then that little edge there. Okay. And then I think I'm going to round my bottom corners. She hasn't, but I think I will. Like that. Should really check that I'm filming in frame, because I haven't really checked that. Okay, I don't know what that is that was in the way. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. There was something a bit overhanging, so I don't know what that was. Oh, just mucking about with my camera setup, so let me just try and sort it out a little bit better. Oh, it's this. Sorry. Right. Okay. Hopefully you can see a little bit better now. So, right. So I've got that piece there. So what I'm going to do is ink around it. She'd inked quite a bit around her edge, so I'll just ink around mine. Yes, I do follow her on Instagram, and I mean, I have said loads of times I'm very poor with Instagram. I don't very often go on it. I don't very often remember, you know, and people kind of say to me, oh, you really should, you know, because it's part of your, you know, showcasing your stuff, and, you know, but I do just forget. So I am trying to be a bit better with it, but, you know, I do generally forget quite often. And I find it kind of strange, because it doesn't notify you, you know, if somebody's posted something, or if someone comments, you know, things like that. So I'm not very good with it generally. Right. Going to pop that there, I think. Just wondering, the reason I'm just delaying is because I just wondered whether I wanted anything coming out underneath that pocket. So now I'm just having a hunt around on my desk for any scraps that I've got laying about, which of course I have many, but whether or not they're the right scraps is the point. So okay, got that. I'll just ink this up so this is, you know, not looking like the stark bright white that it currently is. Okay, so just have that. You know, I just wondered whether we could have that there and that one there. And obviously we're going to put some lace, you know, over that as well. So I think I'll just trim this down. I like it with all the, see, like those bits, you know, where the lace is joined. I like it when it's looking quite raggedy at the edges. So let's just do that here as well. Okay, so that looks a lot nicer to me. I think that looks much better. It's the type of thing that my mum would see and go, what are you talking about? You know, you've just effectively ripped that lace and just made it look really tatty. Why would you prefer it looking like that? But I'm sure as junk journalists you kind of agree. So I'll just pop that on there like that. Okay. Right. Just mop up some of that glue because it's pretty messy. Okay. I definitely think the heat affects the glue, you know, makes it a lot more sticky. And I don't necessarily mean that in a good way, you know, I think it makes it a lot more sticky and tricky to use quite often. So, right. Oh my gosh, my glue's actually working. I won't speak too soon because it might stop again in a minute. But that was lovely to have just a clear run for 2 minutes, you know. Best make sure that I stick the pin back in the glue before I put it down. Okay. So let me just pop that here. Again, just press that down with my wipe here for any oozing bits of glue. And then, right, let me weigh this down. Now, because I'm not really very good with the whole gesso thing, I probably should do some gesso on this piece first. So let's grab a brush. Oh no, what type of brush shall I use? I've only got quite smallish brushes, so probably not really great, but we'll give it a try. And hopefully this is going to, you know, stop it from fraying so much as well. So hopefully it will be a bit of a, you know, double bonus. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that to dry for a couple of minutes, and while I'm doing that I'll just dig out some other lace that we can use for across the top of there. So I've still got this lovely doily that I've been using quite a bit recently, so we could use something like that across there. So let's just trim down, well, I'm going to just trim down the whole strip actually, and then I can you know, play around and see how it looks. So if I were to use, for instance, this piece, I quite like this section here that's very holy. So I'm just going to trim that down a bit. Just go a bit longer than the actual hessian itself. longer or wider, depending on how you're looking at that or interpretation of that. Right, let's bring my piece back in, take my little bits that are holding it down out. So if I wanted to have that on there, and then maybe a bit of lace going across. Now, as I say, she has obviously glued hers, which, stitched hers, which obviously is really nice, you know, but hopefully we're going to get a similar-ish effect without having to stitch it. So just going to ink this up a little bit. I might just ink this up as well. So for my Hessian, I'm going to glue it down, and I'm just going to use my hot glue because, you know, it's really nice and quick and I don't have to then worry about it, you know, drying. So, and I feel like I have wasted quite a lot of time this video looking around for things. So, oops. Just glue it down there. Again, because obviously it's Hessian and it's holey, it's pretty hot to press it down, so I am just, you know, doing it a bit with the wipe here. There we go. Pull that thread out. Okay. Right, now she's gessoed a bit over her actual piece, so I'm going to attempt to do that. My brush isn't very good, so just bear with me a bit while I try and, you know, make my brush a bit better. And actually what I should do is probably water this down a bit because it's very thick at the moment, but whether I could just use a little bit of water. I've still got my pot of water to the side. No, I haven't. Right, going to just be how not to craft now. So I'm just going to pour a little drop of water into my glue lid. I mean, this really is just crafting on the fly. So, it's just, for me, that's making that gesso a lot thinner and easier to use. So, I mean, as I say, my gesso is very, very old. So, you know, it's not great. Okay. I'm just going to go over this piece a bit. Like that. Okay. Right, let's put the lid on that for a moment. Get that out of the way. Actually, just pop a bit down the bottom as well. And obviously I'm going to cut that bottom bit off as well. So let me move this out of the way, so as I can free up a little bit more space. Let me get another wipe. Okay, I'm that a little bit. Well, it's not that, my worktop saver. Right, I'm just going to trim this down slightly here, like that, and then just take my lace, which I'm going to just pop over here, I think. Now, she actually made her lace into another pocket, actually, which I hadn't spotted until just now. So I think I will try and do that as well. So again, just, you know, do that with the wipe because it is very hot. Right, now I'm going to just quickly dry this off with my dryer, and then I will be back in a moment. Right, my piece is dry now, or pretty much dry anyway. So just now going to kind of finish off decorating it up with a few little bits and pieces. So I'm going to trim this lace down after all. I thought I was going to leave it, but I don't think I'm going to. So we just trim that off like that. Just going to ink up that edge like that. Okay. Then, oops, just went to put the little glue lid of water onto my distress pad. Clearly I'm just not, I'm not quite with it today. So I do apologise, don't know what's going on quite, but just have days like that, don't you? So I've got some pearly trim here, might kind of add some pearly trim. Now she decorates her things up with all sorts of lovely little bits and pieces. So I did bring in some other little bits that I just thought I might like to use. So I've got this, which is like a thread, a trim, you know, of a string of pearls, but it's actually flat backed, which I've had it in my stash for a really long time, and you know, as time goes by I'm using it less and less because I don't seem to be able to get it anymore, and when I have seen it, it's quite expensive, you know, per metre. So I've been hoarding it a little bit, but we could use that. Now she has got something dangly hanging off at the bottom, so I'm just going to have a look and see what I've got that I could use that might give a similar effect. So I've got some of this really pretty lace here, which we could attach some of this just coming off at the bottom. So if I just have a look, we could just have it like that, not even across the whole piece. So I'm just going to cut that down, and I only really need a small piece because, you know, I'm just going to basically pop it onto here like that. So I didn't really need it very deep, if that makes sense. I think I want it attached at the front rather than the back. So I can have that like that. So that looks pretty. Just check that I'm the right side up with that lace. I mean, I say this all the time, I don't really know, you know, whether it would even notice, to be honest, whether there is a right side and whether it would even notice, because once it's popped down, you know, would anyone really notice? Probably not. So that looks really pretty then, doesn't it? Oops. Let's just move that up slightly. See, there's advantages to when the glue's not so fast drying sometimes, because you can then move it around slightly, which is good. Ooh, come on. Right, just pop that down like that. And then I could have one of my little fabric flowers maybe. Like that. And then should we have a bit of that trim? Now, do we need this trim, or actually is that other trim better? So let me pull in my, you know, my usual trim that I use, because that's quite yellowy. This is a little bit paler, so this might actually look a bit better. Oh, I actually think I prefer that, to be honest. Now, do we want it over to the side? Because otherwise it was like dead centre, which might be a bit strange. So just pop that down like that. Okay. And then we can just have our flower just here to the side. And again, I mean, I've just reverted back to my hot glue because it's so much quicker than waiting for that fabric glue to dry. So, you know, for me, it just works so much better because I'm not a very patient person really. So, you know, that's why I quite like using that. Now, what I also brought along, and now, oh, don't tell me I've mislaid that now. I had brought along a rusted safety pin, which I rusted a whole bunch of stuff quite some time ago. I've still got a few bits left that I haven't used yet. So I thought what we could do, because she's actually paper clipped on a piece, but I haven't got any, what am I trying to say? I haven't got any rusted paper clips. So I thought we could just actually pin this on. So I'm just going to take another piece of lace. And again, let's just ink that up. Oops. Just so it looks, you know, equally grungy. I just cut it down here because it's quite neat and tidy on that edge. It's not overly liking. Right, that's better. We've obviously got the remainder of this piece. We could layer it up a bit like that. So what I might do is just pop a little hole in the rose and another one like that. Get my pin. Okay. Then go through both pieces of lace. Oops, only slightly. This is proving fiddlier than I anticipated. So we don't want a huge bulk behind that rose. So, you know, I've tried not to thread too much through there. But just, you know, like that. And then we could have that somewhere hanging off of here. Maybe there, maybe here. Or maybe we could actually have it pinned through the piece itself. What does everybody think? Or we could maybe just peg it on. Actually, now I'm wondering whether I've got my tall piece that we're going to pop into that pocket, which now I can't find that either now. Oh my gosh, what is going on today? Not a good video, not a good day for filming. So, oh gosh, now, right, well I can't find now that tall piece that I thought, you know, I'd so cunningly spotted and was going to fit so neatly into my pocket. Oh, what a disaster I'm turning out to be today. Right. So I can't find the long piece, but for instance, if we were to have this, oh, now I've gessoed the piece closed, right, the pocket. Okay. So if we were to have this, for instance, oh, now the pocket's all stuck down. Come on. We could have that as the tab for the pocket. So what I'll do is I will punch a hole in the tag like that. I will put on one of those little hole reinforcers. Yay, I think that was the first time I've ever actually said hole reinforcers instead of page protectors. I always get that wrong. So that's a first. I must be improving. Right, oh my gosh, put that pin back in there before it clogs back up already. So I'm just going to ink this up around the edge. Only because we've gone for quite a grunged up inky edge appearance around the whole thing. So And then just need to take my pin out of there slightly. Actually, I wonder whether I could just have it pinned through there. No, that's not going to work. Right. Come on. These things are very fiddly for me, these types of tasks. So, you know, probably not half so fiddly for you guys, I suspect, but we all operate in different ways, don't we? So for me, this is a really fiddly type of thing to be doing. Right. Come on. Come on, pin together. Okay, and as you can see, I mean, I didn't even need to use that second hole that we popped into that little tab there. So that's that one. And we've obviously got this pocket here. So just again, grunge that up a bit. And again, I'm just going to punch a hole in that and pop on one of those things again. Just because it just adds a little something to the tag, really. Oops. You know, I mean, it's not an essential thing, but I just think it looks quite nice, doesn't it? So we're going to pop that one into the pocket here, like that. And then I've got some other little pieces, again, that I just thought would go really nicely. So I'm just going to pop them, you know, ink them up a bit. You can have one in that one and one in that one. Now, the only thing that I really haven't done is she had a little dangly piece here, which I haven't obviously done. So just having a look around on my desk, seeing whether there's anything at all that I can add there that would just, you know, help to finish it off a bit more like hers. So let's just have a look, see whether we could just do anything there. Maybe with some eyelash trim or something. And just cut a tiny piece. I mean, it looks like she's used a button with some threads or some trim or something, but that may be a bit fiddly for me, so maybe I will just go for that kind of effect, or possibly like that. What do you think? I do like it with something, but I'm not sure that I'm getting quite the right thing so far, so let's just not rush for a minute. So just pop that there, you know, ready in place, and just have a look, see what else I might have laying around. And obviously there's always all sorts on my desk, so who knows what goodies I might find here. I mean, actually, even that looks quite nice, so I think I'm just going to go for that. Let's just hold that in place. I'm just going to hot glue this because, of course, you know, I want something really quick to hold that eyelash trim in place. So there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it, I think. Now the only thing is, when you take your tag out, is the top of this a little bit on the plain side. So just going to check the time. lost track a little bit. Now, I think she's done hers as a tag, so perhaps I should put a hole in the top. Just do a hole there. Again, just pop in a couple of the hole reinforcers, or a hole reinforcer. I mean, I say this all the time, but I always like to glue mine on as well because, you know, I don't really have great faith in them staying stuck. So that's why I always glue them on as well. You know, I like to make sure that they're stuck on there well and truly. So, and then I've got this fabric that is just laying here on my desk. So perhaps we'll just take a tiny slither of that because we don't want anything too bulky, but I am aware that this is then introducing another texture of fabric, so you know, we'll just see how it looks. But I'm just going to ink it slightly like that, and we'll just pop that through like that. I think she's actually done hers in a bow, which probably would be more of an impact, so perhaps we'll do that as well. I think she's actually done it in a bow, but obviously I've not got enough here to do a bow, so we'll just do a knot. And obviously we now need to do a double. Okay, and then we pop our little tag in there and our bigger tag in that great big tall one like that. So a bit of a protracted craft with me there. Just, you know, wanted to do something today, wanted to do something a little bit different. So I hope you like how it turned out. Obviously that's my picture that I was working from. So, you know, obviously, as you can see, you know, it's not quite the same really, but I don't think it's turned out too bad. You know, a similar concept hopefully. So hope that you enjoyed it, and if you're going to give some of these a go, it was super simple, even if I did make it look a little bit fiddly and clumsy in a couple of places. But yeah, I hope that you liked it. It's certainly turned out quite pretty, and I had fun making it. So thanks very much for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks then, bye.